Welcome to JavaScript and Render, the podcast where we break down the choices developers face every day. Today, we're tackling a hot topic in the front-end world, hosting Next.js applications. Now, if you're working with Next.js, chances are you've used or seriously considered Vercel, and for good reason. Built by the same team behind Next.js, Vercel offers an incredibly streamlined experience, zero config deployments and performance optimizations tailored perfectly for the framework. It's often the default choice, especially when starting. But is it always the best choice for every project, especially as we look ahead in 2025? As applications scale or specific needs pop up, exploring alternatives becomes really important. Maybe you're hitting cost barriers, need more control over your infrastructure, have specific compliance needs, are looking for different performance characteristics, or simply want to avoid vendor lock-in. So today we're going beyond Vercel. We'll explore some of the top platform as a service PaaS and serverless alternatives for hosting your Next.js app. We'll focus on key factors: cost, performance, crucial Next.js, feature support, and that all-important developer experience, or DevEx. Before we dive into specific platforms, let's quickly touch on what we're comparing. Cost, we're not just looking at the free tier but how pricing scales. What triggers costs? Bandwidth, build minutes, function calls, team seats. Performance, how fast are deployments? What about site load speed, like time to first byte? Does it have a global CDN? How does it handle edge computing? Next.js feature support. This is critical. How well does the platform handle server-side rendering SSR, static site generation SSG, incremental static regeneration ISR? What about API routes, middleware or edge functions, image optimization, next image, and the newer app router features like server components and server actions? Support here can really vary. Developer experience, DevEx, how easy is setup? Is Git integration smooth? Are preview deployments good? Are the dashboard and logs helpful? All right, let's look at the contenders. First up, Netlify, often seen as Vercel's closest competitor. Overview, a very popular platform in the Jamstack space, known for its ease of use and strong focus on front-end workflows. Highlights, excellent DevEx, very similar to Vercel's Git push-to-deploy model. Generous free tier, powerful build plugin ecosystem, and solid CDN. They've invested heavily in supporting Next.js features, often using adapters like OpenNext under the hood. Considerations. Costs can scale, particularly around bandwidth and build minutes on higher tiers. Next.js support. Generally excellent for SSR, ISR, API routes, middleware via Netlify edge functions, and image optimization, integrates with Netlify image CDN. App router and server actions are well supported. Always check their latest docs. Best for teams wanting a Vercel-like experience, maybe looking for different pricing tiers, or who value Netlify's specific ecosystem features like forms or identity. Next, Cloudflare Pages. Overview. This platform leverages Cloudflare's massive global edge network, making performance and security primary selling points. Highlights. Extremely generous free tier, especially regarding bandwidth. Exceptional performance potential due to their vast CDN and integration with Cloudflare workers for edge compute. Pricing for paid features is often very competitive. Considerations. While support is rapidly improving, full-stack Next.js features, SSR ISR, often rely on configuration using adapters like OpenNext running on workers. This adds a layer compared to Vercel/Netlify's more integrated approach. DevEx is good but might require more familiarity with the Cloudflare ecosystem. Next.js support. Excellent for static sites. For dynamic features, SSR, ISR, app router, You'll likely use Cloudflare workers, often configured via projects like OpenNext. Image optimization usually requires integrating Cloudflare images separately. Best for performance-critical apps, global audiences, projects heavily leveraging edge compute, and cost-conscious teams who can handle slightly more configuration. Moving into the big cloud providers, let's talk AWS Amplify Hosting. Overview. This is AWS's managed hosting service, part of the broader Amplify toolkit aimed at simplifying full-stack development on AWS. Highlights: deep integration with the vast AWS ecosystem. Think DynamoDB, Cognito, S3. Leverages the CloudFront CDN. Pay-as-you-go pricing fits the AWS model. Considerations: can feel more complex than dedicated PaaS platforms like Vercel or Netlify. Navigating the AWS console and predicting costs across services can have a steeper learning curve. Next.js support. Very good. Amplify has dedicated, built-in support for most Next.js features: SSR, ISR, API routes, middleware, image optimization. Managing the underlying AWS services like Lambda at Edge automatically. Keep an eye on their docs for the latest supported Next.js versions. Best for teams already invested in AWS, projects needing tight integration with other AWS services, or those requiring specific AWS compliance or regional capabilities. Now for something a bit different: Google Cloud Run. Overview. This isn't a dedicated front-end PaaS. It's a serverless container asterisk platform. You package your app in a Docker container, and Cloud Run runs and scales it, even down to 0. Highlights: immense flexibility. Pay-per-use pricing based on actual CPU memory usage, which can be incredibly cost-effective for variable traffic. Scales automatically and integrates with Google's load balancer and CDN. Considerations: requires you to containerize your Next.js app, write a Docker file. This means more setup, CI/CD configuration, and understanding of container concepts. DevEx is less batteries included. Next.js support. You can support all Next.js features, SSR, ISR, etc., because you control the container environment, often using the Next.js standalone output, but you are responsible for making it work correctly. Image optimization needs a separate solution. Best for cost-sensitive apps with spiky traffic, teams comfortable with Docker and container orchestration, projects needing custom server environments or deep GCP integration. And finally, let's look at Render. Overview. Render aims for the simplicity of platforms like Heroku but updated for modern needs. It offers static sites, web services, good for Next.js, SSR, ISR, databases, background workers, and more in one place. Highlights: simple, predictable pricing tiers, easy-to-use interface, good balance between PaaS convenience and flexibility, great if you need a database or background worker alongside your Next.js app. Considerations: fewer edge locations compared to Vercel/Cloudflare, potentially impacting global latency. Advanced Next.js features like edge functions aren't built in. You'd rely on standard backend routing. Next.js support. Good. Supports SSG via static sites and SSR/ISR API routes via its web services, running a Node.js server. Configuration might need slightly more specific build start commands than Vercel. Image optimization likely needs external libraries or services. Best for full-stack applications needing integrated backend services, teams seeking Heroku-like simplicity with predictable costs, startups wanting an easy-to-manage platform. Okay, that was a whirlwind tour, so how do you choose? There's really no single best alternative. It boils down to your specific needs. Want that polished, Vercel like DevEx? Netlify is your closest bet. Need top-tier global performance and potentially lower costs at scale? Cloudflare Pages, with workers open Next, is very compelling. Already deep in the AWS ecosystem, AWS Amplify Hosting offers seamless integration. Comfortable with Docker and want ultimate flexibility scalability? Google Cloud Run is powerful, though requires more setup. Looking for Heroku-like simplicity for full-stack apps with predictable pricing? Render is a fantastic option. Think about your team's expertise, your budget, your performance requirements, and critically, how seamlessly you need specific Next.js features like ISR or edge functions to work out of the box. Vercel definitely sets a high bar, especially for Next.js, but the hosting world is full of excellent alternatives. Netlify, Cloudflare Pages, AWS Amplify, Google Cloud Run, and Render all bring unique strengths to the table. By weighing cost, performance, feature support, and developer experience, you can find the perfect platform for your Next.js project in 2025. Don't hesitate to spin up projects on the free tiers of these platforms. Getting hands-on is often the best way to decide. That's all for this episode of Dev Decisions. You can find links to the documentation and resources mentioned today in our show notes. Thanks for tuning in and happy coding.